Hello, everyone. Welcome to Opinions New by Dr. Frank Tianshi and Frank. In this episode, I'm to talk about the fate of Hong Kong dollars, or is Hong Kong dollar heading to a painful death? Okay? The currency of Hong Kong, right, or Hong Kong dollars, has a history of about 175 years. Initially, Hong Kong dollar was based on silver in Qing Dynasty. Right? Then it was based on or pegged to British pound, and then to U.S. dollars. Right? Now, with the protests ongoing in Hong Kong, and with China's strong hand on trying to impose national security laws on Hong Kong, and the U.S. threat to withdraw the preferential treatment, to Hong Kong, and that, I believe is going to lead to drastic changes in Hong Kong's economy, and in the process, Hong Kong dollars, the Hong Kong currency, could become a target. Okay? If the Chinese Communist regime collapses very soon, very quickly, and then Hong Kong reverts back to one country, two system, and then the Hong Kong economy and Hong Kong dollar could, have a chance to revive. But if the regime does not, Chinese Communist regime does not become managed very quickly, I think the Hong Kong economy will go to a downward spiral. And the Hong Kong dollars, the currency, could, I believe, diminish in the near future. Okay, why am I saying that? Okay, first, the U.S. announcement on the U.S. policy towards Hong Kong. This was announced by President Trump on May 29, about a week ago. Okay, when Trump reviewed his policy, and the statement, was very clear, very clear. Also, during the statement press conference, Trump also talked about the relationship with the withdrawal from World Health Organization, right? And send back those Chinese student scholars with background to Chinese military. Of course, and Trump is basically declaring war on China, but his new policy towards Hong Kong is actually even more dramatic, more heavyweight. Right? When Trump made the announcement, he appeared with his A-level team, top advisors from Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Commerce, Trade Advisor, National Security Advisor, Vice President, everyone, the whole team was there, and everybody was looking very seriously. And Trump just made his announcement very decisively, and didn't even give the reporters a chance to ask questions. After the announcement, he and his whole team just turned around and left. There's definitely a strong body language, signal to the Chinese government. The time of the announcement was sometime in the afternoon, around 2-3 p.m., right? And that was like midnight in China. I'm sure the Chinese government was studying that, at night. Their foreign ministry or their the think tank were studying the speech. But normally China would respond, the next day. But so far, we have not seen any response from the Chinese side. I think they're shocked. They're still in the aftermath of the shock. Okay? Hong Kong dollar, okay, the Hong Kong's currency is issued by Hong Kong. Hong Kong has this administrative, financial administration, monetary institution that is in charge of the Hong Kong currency, right? And Hong Kong dollar is now pegged with the U.S. dollar, at exchange rate of $1 equals about 7.8 Hong Kong dollars. Right? The issuing of the currency Hong Kong dollar is actually done through three companies, three banks. One is the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation, HSBC. One is Charters Bank. The other one is Bank of China in Hong Kong. Right? According to the law or the declaration, joint declaration between China and the Great Britain, and also in the basic law, the Constitution of Hong Kong, Hong Kong's autonomy includes its ability, its rights to issue its own currency. In other words, they're not taking RMB, renminbi, Chinese currency as its currency, official currency. Right? Hong Kong maintained this peg system with dollars since 1983. So any bank, any one of the three banks who wants to issue new Hong Kong dollars, paper money, they have to pay at an exchange rate of 1 to 7.8, pay US dollars to the government, right? And the government put that in the foreign exchange fund for the fund. So the fund held by the government provides the security for stable to support the Hong Kong currency, Hong Kong dollars they printed. Okay. Hong Kong dollar is widely circulated and used, even in China, in Canton, cities, provinces near Hong Kong, and in Macau also. In Macau is official currency. Yeah. Many people in Macau, they have Hong Kong dollars in their hands. Right? The Macau money, currency accounts for only 22% of all the currency being circulating in use in Macau, and Hong Kong dollars accounts for about 45%. Much of the gambling, real estate, internet, import-export trade, and commodity trade were all denominated in Hong Kong dollars. From historical perspective, when the British, first, took over Hong Kong in the beginning, of course, they used British pound, right? But at that time in China, was during Qing Dynasty, they used the silver, and then in Hong Kong, the Chinese silver dollars and also Mexican silver dollars and Spanish silver, and they were all in circulation in Hong Kong freely, right? In 1845, the government of Hong Kong declared that the official currency, legal currency of Hong Kong are, the Qing Dynasty silver dollars and Mexican silver dollars and the Spanish silver dollars, Spanish silver and Indian rupee. Indian rupee is one of them too, right? So basically, in the whole 19th century, Hong Kong's currency used silver and is based on silver. Okay? Then in 1912, when the Qing Dynasty was overthrown by the nationalist government, and the national government issued its own currency, but because of the Civil War, the rise of communists in China and everything, and then later on, invasion by Japan in World War II, the currency issued by the nationalist government had not much credit, right? And Hong Kong dollars was actually used widely in southern China. By the end of 1920s, Hong Kong dollars became the main currency in use in Canton, in Guangzhou province, Guangdong province. Right? By 1931, Hong Kong authority issued about 1.5 trillion Hong Kong dollars, 1.5 trillion Hong Kong dollars. About 717 billion of that was actually in circulation in Guangdong province, in Guangdong, Canton. Okay? And there's actually more than 200 billion dollars more than was in circulation in Hong Kong itself. Okay, so basically, the trade, much of the trade in Canton or in Guangdong or were carried out in Hong Kong dollars. 75% of export trade was in Hong Kong, and British pound and other currency only accounts for 21%. Okay? And then later on, after World War One, and the U.S., started to rise as global power, superpower, not superpower, the global power, and silver price in America was on the rise. It's sharply rising sharply. Okay, and then that attracted a lot of silver coins, from China and Hong Kong, flowing to America. Right? At that time, the government of Hong Kong, started to issue paper notes. It actually delinked its currency with the silver, and started to peg Hong Kong dollars to British pound at the exchange rate of 1 pound equals about 16.8 Hong Kong dollars. And then 2 years later, by 1937, they completely, stopped the silver dollar as its currency, okay? And Hong Kong dollar paper notes becomes the major legal currency there in Hong Kong. And then in 1949, the Chinese communists took over Hong Kong, and then they didn't like Hong Kong dollars being as a dominant currency in Canton, so they forbade Hong Kong dollars to be in circulation in Hong Kong. But that was then. Then later on, of course, the government of China wanted to have more Hong Kong dollars and more U.S. dollars too. Okay? And then led into the 50s, 60s, and 70s. In 1972, by 1972, Hong Kong authority changed its pegging of its currency to British pound, now to U.S. dollars. Okay? They actually set the rate of $1 to 7.8 Hong Kong dollars, and this exchange rate continued till today. Okay? Then also, there's since 2005, Hong Kong authority, monetary authority, actually tightened its grip, its control on exchange, foreign exchange. They actually set the Hong Kong dollar to be fluctuating between 7.75 and $7.85 per US dollar, $1. They call this 7.75, as the strong, I think it's called the strong exchange guarantee, something like that, and 7.85 as a weak exchange guarantee. So use that to stabilize its exchange, currency exchange with US dollars. If either one of the upper or lower limit is approached, right, is close to that, and the monetary authority will step in to try to safeguard, to protect Hong Kong dollars. If a strong currency guarantee, strong exchange guarantee point is reached, that's the 7.75 is reached, goes below 7.75, and the monetary authority will buy dollars and buy US dollars or sell Hong Kong dollars, right? If it goes above, to above 7.85, they can buy Hong Kong dollars and sell US dollars. Okay, that is how the Hong Kong dollars, and also as a free trade zone and free exchange, is going on in Hong Kong. Now, then we know that there is the turnover of Hong Kong from Great Britain to China, which took place in 1997. But before that, starting in 1984, China and Great Britain started this negotiation of the handover. Right? By 1992, Right? The U.S. government and the past U.S. Congress has passed the law giving Hong Kong is a special, tariff, protection, right? Special treatment, basically special treatment, preferential treatment. The measures include, visa waiver. There's no visa required for U.S. citizens to go to Hong Kong and Hong Kong citizens to come to the United States. And also the pegging of the two currencies, U.S. dollars and Hong Kong dollars. And also protections of businesses, in each country or each other, and the preferential tax system, and also judicial protection. And, and then soon after that, other countries follow suit, including Japan and then the most European countries. Basically, Hong Kong maintained its status as a free port under this tax-free system. Okay? And then there's a handover in 1997, and the government, Chinese government promised to keep the system unchanged for 50 years. Now everything is history. We know that by now, with only about 20 some years old past, the government of China, the communist government, changed its mind. It's not going to keep their promise, right? Now, with this new measures, new national security laws imposing on Hong Kong and American sanctions, in place, and there will be losses in Hong Kong economy, huge losses in economy. Actually, the preferential treatment of Hong Kong is actually beneficial to the Chinese, right? The Chinese government actually took advantage of Hong Kong, the special trading status as a free port. Even before Chinese communists took over, taking over mainland in 1949, they actually used Hong Kong as its hub, as its place for its way for them to get the special goods they need, in the Revolutionary War, and for them to get their foreign currencies, and medical supplies and espionage, and everything. Right? They operated in Hong Kong before 1949. After that, as I said, they want to keep that. They want to keep Hong Kong as under British rule, so they could still use that as a window to the West, because after the Korean War, China was under blockade by U.S. and Western powers, right? But China had Hong Kong, right? And Russia and the other European countries, Eastern European countries, the communist countries, they don't have that. They don't have the luxury. China actually had this unique, advantage of having Hong Kong as is about $700 billion. Okay? Whereas the trade between U.S. and Hong Kong is only about $38 billion. Right? So China benefits a lot from the special trading status of Hong Kong. Right? And then, of course, with the China's passing the law, proposing the law to put their national security measures against China, the Hong Kong people, and also the Chinese Ministry of State Security, their KGB, the equivalent, will have a branch in Hong Kong. They're going to have their operation in Hong Kong. Basically, under that, the Chinese authority, the communist government, could arrest anyone they want, or seize properties, bank accounts on anyone they feel what they can label as a threat to national security. So that's why the people is the real estate in Hong Kong. Everyone is the biggest casualty. And in the future, in the long run, Hong Kong, as for global trade and global business, and global financial center will be weakened, or weakened to an extent that is diminishing. Right? And a lot of people, Thailand's money will leave Hong Kong. Right? Think about that, right? If now Hong Kong dollar is pegged to U.S. dollars, how can they maintain that pegging? You know, that pegging is not is something that many countries want. Because for all those so many smaller countries with small economies, of course they would love to peg their currency to U.S. dollars because U.S. dollar is strong, stable, with great credit, and but they cannot peg the currency to U.S. dollars easily because you have to maintain really good balance sheet, healthy, strong economy, robust export, and with inflation under control, then your currency can be pegged to U.S. dollars. Right? If you none of any one of those conditions is not met, and there's too much fluctuations, and then in your purchasing power and exporting power, everything, and then you cannot maintain the pegged currency because you have to use lots of money to safeguard, to protect your currency, to keep the fixed exchange rate. Okay? That's why many countries, even though they want to have a pegged currencies with U.S. dollars, they cannot. And there are countries, many countries like Panama, they adopt the dollarization, meaning they forget about their own currency. They want to use the U.S. dollars as its own currency. I paid a visit to Panama 2 years ago, and found that indeed, you just use U.S. dollars on the street of Panama. Just like that's the currency, official currency of the country. Right? Of course, when they give you change, they give you Panamanian coins. I have a few as souvenirs. Right? So for Hong Kong to maintain this pegging of currency, tie the currency with U.S. dollars, it has to maintain this competitiveness in the global economy. It has a huge output, supply of good labor, materials, and great output, economic growth, and also control the inflation. Right? Hong Kong is able to do that because it has this free trade system and a great financial system, great infrastructure, huge pool of talents, the financial, other professional talents. Right? If the U.S. sanction, withdrawal of Hong Kong's special trade tax zone is started, Hong Kong will lose its position as a financial center of the world, one of the financial centers of the world, because no currency, no capital, no financial companies, brokerages, banks want to have operation, in a place where it's under communist control or rule. Right? It's not free port anymore, free city anymore. It's just like any other Chinese city. Right? The status as the state of Hong Kong as one of the financial centers of the world will be gone. It's going to be gone. Right? And then the Hong Kong economy, which is largely based on financial sector, professional services, trade, logistics, international logistics, goods transfer, and some, little bit manufacturing, electronics, they all will be gone. There will be no more. The Hong Kong economy will be greatly diminished. At that time, it's hard for Hong Kong government authority to maintain the fixed exchange rate. Yeah. And I think dollar people was want to sell the dollar, Hong Kong dollars, to buy U.S. dollars. It is happening now. Right? People of Hong Kong, they are buying huge amount. They are converting their Hong Kong dollars to U.S. dollars as we speak. Right? More people also withdrawing currencies or the deposit from Chinese state-owned banks and put it in foreign banks, the U.S. bank or British banks. They're actually, selling their Hong Kong dollars in buying U.S. dollars, British pounds, and euros and Japanese yen. They're running out. Their Hong Kong banks in Hong Kong, they're running out of foreign currencies, hard currencies. Okay? That's the problem. So at that time, in that case, and in that situation, Hong Kong Monetary Authority, if they want to maintain the fixed rate, they have to buy a lot of them, right? They have to pay. They have to use their foreign exchange reserve and even use gold to protect, to safeguard the Hong Kong dollars. Just before, 2 days before Trump made his announcement, he said that the Chinese government shipped 10 metric tons of gold to Hong Kong to help the Hong Kong government to do that. But the gold reserve in Hong Kong and in China and the foreign exchange reserve in Hong Kong and China are limited. And I don't think they can just keep buying Hong Kong dollars like that for forever and pay them with the dollars foreign exchange reserves they had or gold. Okay? And also many professionals, financial professionals, wealthy people, talents in Hong Kong, they're selling their properties. They're selling their assets in Hong Kong and selling them and selling in Hong Kong dollars and get US dollars or pounds and go elsewhere. They're fleeing Hong Kong. Okay? Now, basically, there's a drain on money and talents from Hong Kong. Okay? That's the problem Hong Kong faces. Right? In that case, what are we going to do? What is Hong Kong government going to do? I think they should try to maintain currency, try to maintain currency, but their resources is limited. Okay? Eventually, I think Hong Kong dollars will not be able to afford to keep pegging Hong Kong dollars to US dollars if they want to. Okay. At that time, right, the dollar will lose. Hong Kong dollars, Hong Kong is going to lose its value further and further, and they will delink with US dollars. It will lose value even faster, and eventually only Chinese currency, renminbi, will be exchangeable with Hong Kong dollars at whatever rate they want. And eventually, and finally, I think Chinese RMB will replace Hong Kong dollars. That's why I'm saying the Hong Kong dollars is going through a very painful, process of becoming dead and extinguished. That's what I have for this episode of Opinions New by Dr. Frank Tianshi. Thank you. I will talk to you next time.